What's good, y'all? I'm Psychedelic Seal, and I am back with another challenge for y'all. Let's move forward to Generation Hoenn, definitely the Pokemon gen I've played the most, and see if I could beat Pokemon Emerald with only a Wingull. I heard it was bad luck to kill a seabird, but mine is probably gonna die a few times in this run. While it is pretty fast and has a usable special attack stat, its move pool is straight trash. The only water move it learns is Water Gun, and the only flying move it learns is Wing Attack. So I don't have a stab move to fall back on. Moreover, unlike most water types, and its evolution, it can't learn Surf, and the strongest water move it has is Water Pulse. Thankfully, it can learn Ice Beam and Shockwave, so at least there is some type coverage. And of course, I have to proceed with this challenge using additional rules because difficulty, but also fun. Hence the title of the video. I can only use Wingull in battle, and it cannot evolve. I can pick up other Pokemon for HMs though. No item bag is allowed in battle, but held items like berries and leftovers are a-okay. Finally, no glitches other than using the universal Pokemon randomizer to sub out Mudkip for Wingull as our starter. I take a good long look at myself and decide this seal is a boy. I awake in the back of a moving van. Insert repeated YouTube joke here. I surprise a young girl in her room. If I had a nickel, right? I choose my glorious seabird and lightly Mr. Raccoon. I give him a name fit only for a god. Since Flapper's only attacking move is Water Gun and not very effective against her Trico, I have to quickly pick up the cheese. So I level up to 7 to get Supersonic, and despite Flappers being uncooperative, we won first try. Now my adventure can finally begin, and I head towards Petalburg City. When there, I meet my dad. Must be nice. I see Wally catch a sentient bowl cut. Once in the Petalburg woods, I save a man who really loves shrooms. I didn't like the way the dog was looking at my leg and dumped a bucket of water on him. I sweep through all the trainers in Roxanne's gym without taking damage. As for the gym leader herself, her 2 Geodude crumble to Flappers. However, her Schnoz Rock is only 2 times weak to Water Gun. It takes about a third of its health, but it one-shots Flappers with Rock Tomb. While we could try again and wait for her moves to miss, I take out all the trainers east of Rustboro and get to level 14. Flappers also learned Wing Attack, which is going to be his best flying type move for most of the game. After a couple times, I'm able to get the nose pass down to red health, and he heals with a berry. I think that takes him out of heal range, and it doesn't, and he kills me next turn. Frustrated, I break out the cheese again, confusing the nose pass when it comes out. It only goes for Harden, and Flappers begins his assault. The nose misses a rock smash and hits itself in confusion. Flappers keeps hosing Roxanne's pet until a crit Water Gun takes it out. In Rusturf Tunnel, Flappers saves his father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate. I get them good goods, and return to Rustboro to meet the Grand Poobah, who goes by the name of the President. He gives me a Tamagotchi with cell service. I try avoiding May at all costs, but she truly does have the eyes of a human and saw me. After playing Simon Says with her Wingull for a few turns, I finish off her Trico as well. I go meet the old briny boy in his sea hut and willingly get on his boat to go to a remote island. Upon arriving in Dewford Town, I navigate through a cave to meet an old man looking for stones. I sweep through Brawley's gym and no one presents an issue. I do a scouting match against the leader and I bring his Makuhita down to a sliver of health before finally going down myself. Choosing to no longer be a jackass, I heal up and go again, only to find out this dude has a citrus berry, and I go down yet again. The amount of attempts this battle took was maddening, not because it was a lot, but rather because I would get the doughy Pokemon down to a sliver before it would heal and finish Flappers. I did finally get a good run where I baited Brawley to use Super Potions on Metatite with Water Gun and Wing Attack. Flappers was not fazed by a reverse Uno card and ended the fighting dumpling. With 2 badges on our belt, we sail to Slateport to prepare for what will be the biggest bottleneck in the game. We pay our 50 shekels to enter the museum and take out 2 Team Aqua Grunts upstairs. My god, they really pushed the Pokénav in this game. Christ. We defeat all of the trainers north of Slateport, and Flappers has ascended, not bothered by the peasants occupying most routes. I run into May again. The rival battle that kills speedruns, but speedrunners don't have an overpowered seabird with them. Despite a misclick, I aggressively flap wings at her Wingull, douse the fire snot monster, and take down her lead in a couple hits. I see these 2 doing an Irish jig in a meadow. I make it to Mauville and pick up the Mach Bike because I feel the need. the need to smash into every wall possible in this playthrough. I meet Discount Ric Flair here, and he gives us the HM for Rock Smash. I defeat every single trainer around Mauville so I can get extra experience for my bird. North, I destroy an entire family more quickly than a relapse, and with my job done, it's time to head to the gym. Wally blocks my path, and I smite him with Righteous Flappers. While making my way through the gym, the bird learns Quick Attack, replacing Mist. I see what Watson has, and while we have been cruising thus far, we have swerved off the road, hit a telephone pole, and were ejected into an electrified drainage ditch. So I do what any sane man would. I get a watered down drink, pump my room full of oxygen and Pall Mall smoke, black out my windows, and gamble for hours. I felt the thrill when I hit 777s on the slot machines, but being the savvy degenerate I am, I know the real money is in the table games. I see the squares and think, yeah, why not? Each victory was the dopamine hit I needed to continue, and continue I did for a couple of hours, clicking A as I saw my total gradually climb. The emulator's turbo only fueled my growing obsession, and I approached the counter, looked at the clerk with the stare only a chronic, underage gambler can muster, and got the TM for Ice Beam. I head back to the gym with Flapper's new power and challenge Watson. I head west to destroy the oddish population and the occasional Illumise that stands in my way. Flappers reaches level 36 and we challenge the gym again. Now, Ice Beam kills the Voltorb and the Volt Pup in one hit, but his Manectric ends us with a single shockwave. Flappers gets to level 40 and I am in the perfect run. Manectric is frozen after an Ice Beam and I get to his last Pokemon. Flappers does less than half damage, but I think he can survive at least one shockwave and get another chance for the kill. But his Magneton does not care, and severely hurts my feelings with a critical hit. Only a few attempts later, I again freeze the Manectric, and his Magneton comes out. Flappers goes for a water gun, dealing the half damage we need, but does get paralyzed. As long as Flappers isn't immobilized, I'm golden, but with my luck left at the casino, Flappers was crit yet again, and at this point, along with so many other points that will come later, my patience was truly tested. I power grind, trying again at every level. Flappers finally gets to level 45, and if Manectric hits itself in confusion, I can knock it out with Ice Beam every time. However, his Magneton is truly a metallic fuck. I got to it 4 separate times, only to either be stalled out with potions, stopped by paralysis, or crit again. On that 4th attempt, I started with an Ice Beam so he wouldn't go into heal range, and finished him off with another after surviving a shockwave. With this, Flappers exacts his revenge and we get the Dynamo badge. To move forward, I pick up a Poochyena, name it Tinsley, and teach it Rock Smash. I head towards Meteor Falls and see the two bad factions acting appropriately with their ground-loving and sea-loving ways. I meet another knob, and this knob slides into me. Phone. I went up Mount Chimney to deal with Team Magma, and it was not exciting. I one-shot Maxie's team with either an Ice Beam or Water Gun. An old woman offers me cookies, which I refuse. I was always told that if you take a cookie from an old woman, the dementia gets worse. I arrive in Lava Ridge Town and find myself in a hot spring behind an old woman. Typical. Unsurprisingly, Flannery was pretty much all one-shots with Water Gun. That seductive Torkoal did play her tricks on my dear Flappers, but it only delayed the inevitable. I head to Petalburg to face my father. His Spinda, as does his Vigoroth, goes down to a single Ice Beam. The Linoon takes 2 shots but only cuts down about a third of our health, but now it's time for his ace. We can't take it down to half health and go down to a single facade. After a few tries, Flappers confuses the Sloth Ape and it damages itself. As it loafs, Flappers hits 2 Ice Beams with the second encasing Slacking in an iceberg. The Citrus Berry it holds takes it out of heal range and one more Ice Beam takes it out. Now, the rest of the map opens up and Flapper's fantastical carnage continues. We now have to sail the seas ourselves, since the old man is nowhere to be found. That's concerning. I catch a Marill and name it Blue Ball. I let Flappers play amongst his flock. Flappers cleared out the Weather Institute with no problem, and for my efforts, I get a cast form which I name Cusper. I beat May again, and am stopped from progressing by an invisible blockage. But I get the Devon scope from Steven and put a lizard in the freezer. It seemed comfortable there. When I checked on him later, he was taking the most peaceful nap. Next leader is Winona. At one point, Flappers saw his true potential and became confused, but came too quickly and committed sororicide. Like the many positives that come with a gambling addiction, Ice Beam made this gym a quick cakewalk as it one-shot her lead. 6 badges down. Because I am inept, I forgot to start recording at the beginning of this session, so a quick recap. I catch Flappers a friend and name him Floopers, a natural pair. Flap cannot go without Floop. I get to Mount Pyre and see all the oddish from earlier. I head towards the jagged pass, and the earth opened at the presence of my volcano doubloon. I make my way through the magma hideout and find Maxie wanting to wake and control a primal earth-controlling beast because, you know, evil. Too bad he is severely colorblind and Groudon puts on his Air Jordans and dips hard. Maxie himself is obviously no issue. We do take one moment to teach Flappers Shockwave so we can deal with the upcoming Aqua Hideout more easily. I fly to Slateport and notice a good old hootenanny at the harbor, only for Archie to sploosh into a submarine and escape. I fly to Lily Cove and see my rival in front of the superstore and decide I do not have the time for that shit. The Aqua Hideout was boring and not worth additional comment. I arrive in Moss Deep City and deposit all my Pokemon in preparation for the upcoming gym. I do notice that Cusper has the Mystic Water, so I give that to Flappers, so our water gun may become a Super Soaker. I catch a Magikarp named Tuna Roll for the next gym. We roll through the gym's trainers as per usual, but there is no way we are beating Tate and Liza at this level. This is when Flappers' awful move pool really comes back to bite me in the ass. It can only tank 2 Psychic hits at most, and we can't take down any of our Pokemon reliably in one hit. So we have to grind again, which I didn't think was going to be a thing before the Elite Four. Anywho, I head back to Lily Cove and battle the rival since I don't have much better to do now. All of our Pokemon go down in one hit, so easy experience. After that, I start to run through all the trainers in Mount Pyre, and grind against the ghosts of dead Pokemon, knowing that their memory is still alive and Flappers can't have that. At level 65, Flappers and I face off against the twins again, and it goes better? We can at least reliably take out their bird in one hit, and we get most of the way against Claydol. But getting to their last duo is still not happening. The one time I did get to the last two, it took Claydol hitting itself in confusion twice, and Lunatone not using a Calm Mind, which would have made it a 3-hit KO. So, Flappers here has to basically one-shot everything if he has half a chance of not getting disturbingly double-teamed by 2 rocks. When grinding, I forgot something. I forgot the ground is weak to ice. I have an Ice-type move, meaning that I should be able to, in theory, one-shot everything except for the Lunatone. So, at level 68, I head back to the gym. I can one-shot both the Xatu and Claydol as long as they don't have a Light Screen or Calm Mind up. Now, the power of the internet says I should be able to one-shot the Solrock 50-ish% of the time. In the 20 or so attempts I tried, the goddamn stone lived every time. At this point, I had lost my patience. I used 2 of the rare candies I have picked up along the way so I can one-shot the Solrock, and I'm not going to level or stop until I win. By the grace of God and Game Freak, I get the run I'm looking for. I hit the Nightmare Artifact and take it down. After Tuna Roll almost reaches the dozen-piece special and gets brain-fucked by the green sushi chef, Solrock is sent out, but Flappers erodes it with a water gun. Next, their bird is taken out by an Ice Beam, but Lunatone sets up a Light Screen, raising special defense. But Flappers don't care. He hits the crit, taking out the moon, and the feeling of relief and satisfaction I experienced can only be likened to finally finding a pristine bathroom after the half-gallon of coffee you drank 5 hours ago. I see those meddling magma members again and go to investigate. Looks like they organized a middle school dance. I didn't take any damage and got the HM for dive. I went under the sea! I make my way through the Aqua Hideout and find Archie wanting to wake and control a primal sea-controlling beast because, you know, evil. Too bad he is severely colorblind and Kyogre shoots to the moon. Archie himself is obviously no issue. I feel like I've been here before. Next is Sootopolis, and the one thing I will always give Emerald, which I've only played once when I was 10, versus the other 2 versions which I've played a few dozen times each, is that the cutscenes are just the best. Of course, the series kept going with the cutscenes, but it just hits so right in this game. Despite having 2 elemental gods waging war in their city like Godzilla and Mothra, every resident is cool as a cucumber, despite the fact that a 2,000-pound dinosaur can throw a stray boulder, instantly wrecking them and their home. I meet Wallace deep in the caves, before I have to go to the Sky Pillar to save the world, as only a child can. I disturb the green tube's sleep. He yeets out and I fly back to Sootopolis. The Dragon Slinky puts his children in timeout and that's it. We don't have anything else story-wise, which is dumb. Not having to face Rayquaza really makes the Aqua and Magma storyline and the apocalyptic fight between Groudon and Kyogre basically inconsequential, but I suppose that really is my own issue. I run through the Sootopolis gym for extra experience and battle with Juan, the amalgamation of 4 different Johnny Depp characters. Thankfully, with Flapper's ability to expel an electric wave from his gullet, I run through his team with little issue. Juan Montague here gives me the 8th and final gym badge, along with the TM for Water Pulse, meaning I finally have a slightly more serviceable water type move. Time for Victory Road. Early on, I meet with Wally and his fucking Magneton crits me. The PTSD I got from this made me put down the game for a while. When I finally came back and was one-shot by that same Magneton without a crit, I was encompassed by a feeling of despair. A despair only akin to when you drop your freshly cooked pizza face down on the kitchen floor you've been meaning to clean for the past 3 weeks. Forgetting that I have a competent water-type move now, I tried that and Flappers one-hits the Magneton first try, letting me run through his team with no problem. All of them went down in one hit, except for the one everybody sexualizes because the internet is a funny place like that. If the previous fight was the pizza, this was the baked beans and vodka that did the job. I run through Victory Road, battling every trainer I could, except for these 2, who have Pokemon that just, no Thunderbolt, like an asshole. Now there's only 5 battles separating Flappers from his destiny. Here are his stats at level 75. His special attack and speed are pretty solid. Too bad the rest of his stats are truly horrendous. The moveset is not great, but Water Pulse can confuse, and Shockwave can't miss, so those are some saving graces. First Elite Four member is Sydney. The Mightyena survives with a sliver of health, but uses Sand Attack and a full restore, which is pointless against Flappers. Next time, he goes down with 1 hit. Absol goes down to a dot as well, but his berry takes him out of heal range and Flappers does his thing. Both Shiftry and Cacturn go down in 1 Ice Beam each. And we end the battle by throwing a toaster in the fish tank, cooking his Crawdon. Now, there were 4 moments in this run that made me truly feel hate against those I was battling. First was Watson, then Tate and Liza, and third was against Phoebe here, because her opening Dusclops does not deserve love, or respect, or life. In and of itself, it's not a hard Pokemon to take down. However, it feeds off your tasty pain and can bend you over in so many ways. It will always open with Protect, and sometimes another will work just fine, something I have never seen with such consistency before in any game. Annoying, yes, but even more so since its pressure ability drops our power points by 2 each move. After that, it could confuse you, then stall you out with more Protects as you gradually peck at your feet until you die. Now, while those are frustrating, it could just lay a curse on you, meaning there is no way you will be beating her other 4 Pokemon before you yourself faint. Even writing this script and watching the footage back, I'm encapsulated by a feeling I'm not proud of. Not because my first one took 45 minutes, that's not too bad in a challenge like this, but because whenever I ran through the Elite Four later to level more, this Dusclops always caused multiple resets every time I faced Phoebe. I spend more time battling this Dusclops than any other Pokemon in the entire run. However, as surely as a bear is Catholic and the Pope shits in the woods, I continued. Flappers reached level 81, and him and I went ghost busting. I waste a Supersonic since I know he's just going to use Protect anyways, but follow up with a Water Pulse. Naturally, it uses the cheese against me, but Flappers is unfazed and takes it out. Next round, the Banette goes down in 1 hit and my bird is no longer confused. For her lead Dusclops, a Water Pulse takes it down to half health and it heals with a berry, but does miss a Rock Slide. I choose Shockwave, hoping to keep it out of heal range, but Flappers is a ruthless beast. The crit means a full restore next turn, but 2 more Water Pulses takes him out. Her second Banette is confused and hits itself, but just delays the inevitable with a full restore. Finally, her Sableye only uses Double Team and we shock it, and I don't have to talk about this battle anymore. Third member of the Elite Four is Glacia, and it's the type of battle of why I love doing these types of runs. While it took a few attempts, Flappers did not want to wait too long. Her opening Blubber Monster is shocked with a critical and goes down. Next, Ice Fang number 1 is drowned with 2 Water Pulses, but it does lower our speed. However, Flappers can break the sound barrier and still outspeeds the rest of her pets. The second Celio makes ice fall from the sky, but a couple shockwaves makes quick work after a full restore heals her. Ice Fang number 2 brings Flappers to 5 health after he's pelted by hail, but I equipped a Citrus Berry to heal him, since Mystic Water wasn't going to be doing anything anyways. Another Water Pulse and we are on to the Blubber Queen. But in this moment, Flappers proves that a seal is always a better friend than a walrus and lands the perfectly timed critical hit, meaning I beat Glacia when I really had no business doing so. The yawp I let out in pure joy when this happened at 3 in the morning startled the raccoons outside my apartment, who I heard chittering as they ran away. Finally, Drake was easy. Since Flappers knows Ice Beam, he's able to one-shot everything except for his Kingdra, which goes down in 2 hits. My Seabird ran through the Elite Four, and we have just the champion to go. And this is the 4th time I felt that hate I talked about earlier. I knew Wallace was going to take a long time to beat. It's fair. He is the last major trainer you need to beat, but words cannot fully articulate just how annoying his Melodic is. In most runs, his Wailord would just use Rain Dance, and then his Tentacruel would maybe poison me or take about half my health, but nothing too bad. Now I did get to his Melodic a couple times at level 82, but without amazing confusion luck, it's never gonna happen. After we're booted from the championship room, I run through the trick house enough times to get the magnet, boosting Shockwave's power. One more time beating the Elite Four and Flappers is level 84, effectively 85. For example, I have a good battle with the whale and squid, and get to the pretty slitherfish with full health. On this specific attempt, I forego the cheese and hit it straight up with a Shockwave. It instantly poisons me, but after an hour of attempts I keep trying. But all it does is just spam recover, again, and again, and again. It heals just a little bit more damage than my Flappers can do, as the cyanide slowly poisons his cells, killing him. After many more attempts, I finally take out the Melodic with a critical, and the subsequent Ludicolo is frozen. But Wallace uses a full restore and thaws him, and a Leech Seed means we won't win this battle. I run through the Elite Four a couple more times, getting Flappers to level 88. After many attempts, where I either get poisoned, or Melodic just stalls me out, or I get his second to last Pokemon down to just a sliver only to get laser beamed, I finally get the run. A Shockwave brings the whale down to heal range, and Wallace wastes a full restore on him, but Flappers persists in his mission. The squid goes down in 2 more Shockwaves and misses the Hydro Pump, meaning Flappers faces the Melodic again with full health. Shockwave doesn't do the damage I want it to, and we get poisoned, but thankfully a Petra Berry remedies that. I hit the Confusion to hopefully stall the recoveries that are imminent, and it hits itself twice, but only goes down to heal range, and I have to start the fight with it from the top. Same story, a Shockwave, then Confusion, and Melodic hits itself while another Shockwave brings it down to a dot of red, but it breaks through to recover. Only doing so once, and the next turn, Flappers takes it out and he has passed the biggest threat with full health. Then I know it's time, because the Mariachi Leaf is frozen. 1 more Ice Beam and Flappers is still at full health. For his Wish Cache, we simply spam out Water Pulses as he hits us both with a Surf and Hyper Beam, bringing us down to about a quarter health. Thankfully, no more heals, and last up is his Gyarados. 1 shot with Shockwave, and we have won. Now, we only need to go to the next room to be entered into the Hall of Fame, and wouldn't you know it, my game crashed. Meaning I did not beat Wallace, my progress was not saved, and I have to do it again. But, since I am as much Mule as I am Seal, I tried again to beat Wallace at level 88. After another hour of attempts, I said fuck it. I leveled up to 98, killed his entire team, and was finally placed in the Hall of Fame. Now we have 1 more battle to go. Steven Stone, whose Pokemon are significantly stronger than Wallace's. Deep. So deep. Inside Meteor Falls we find Steven. His Skarmory doesn't look like it's going to be too much of an issue. It just goes for spikes, and Flappers takes it down with 2 Ice Beams. The Nightmare Doll hits itself in confusion, and Steven wastes a full restore, and 2 more Water Pulses is all that's needed. But it comes to a screeching halt with the Armaldo, since it hits my Seabird with Ancient Power, which will always be a 1-hit KO. After a few more attempts, the Skarmory and Claydol die with no issue. Armaldo hits itself in confusion, and 1 more Water Pulse does the job. I serve Cradily the same cheese and it's just so tasty and it hits itself. After an ice beam, he gets frozen and I can take him out. The Aggron is a pushover and dies from one water pulse. And it's just Flappers against his ace. But 'tis not meant to happen this go round since we can't hit a supersonic and we go down in 2 hits. But this is possible. For a fun break, I gave Flappers 2 X attacks just to see what would happen, and we rolled through the team easily and only got hit by his Skarmory when I was setting up. Then, after another half hour or so, I allowed Flappers to reach his final form. The magnificence of his mighty and extensive gullet produced a very similar result. But I knew the rules that I had to follow, the ones I could not change since I made them up. And I trudged forward until Flappers could beat the metal monsters. Skarmory only sets up spikes, and 2 shockwaves cook the bird. Claydol sets up a reflect which will do absolutely nothing and I drown the doll. Much like before, cheese is key. And Confusion Hit coupled with a single water pulse means the other fossil is now up. Knowing Flappers can tank an ancient power hit from Cradily, I saved the cheese for later, relying on ice instead. Flappers has a broken beak, and his wing looks wonky, but he trudges on like the fucking warrior he is. Aggron is nothing, and we have a damn Gouda duel with the Metagross. Flappers lands supersonic and it hits itself in confusion 3 times in a row, while I gradually chip away at his health. But he survives and gets right back up with a full restore. I try to confuse him again, but I miss. But so does he. Next turn, I confuse him, he hits himself, and like so many other times in this run, Flappers takes him out with a crit, and he has beaten Pokemon Emerald all by his lonesome. Holy hell, I'm glad that's done. I definitely don't think Flappers himself was the problem, but his aptitude for learning sure did leave a lot to be desired. But he was able to beat the Elite Four and the champion before level 90, and despite the sheer number of attempts it took, he did take care of the post-game boss Steven as well. I am proud of this seabird. So, I'm currently working on a Fire Emblem challenge right now and have a team Pokemon challenge planned for after that. If y'all have any suggestions for challenges or rules for any game that you want to see attempted, I'm game. So drop it down in the comments and we shall see what can happen. And you know the rest. Like if you dug this video and sub if you want to see more. Down in the description you can find links to all the music that was played in this video. Go support the artist if you liked it. I am the Psychedelic Seal, and I will see you cuties next time.